Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how are you today? In today's video, we're going to be talking about two separate, different, but on the same spectrum type of things, okay? Make sense? So grab your coffee. Maybe some chocolate. These are really good. These were sent to me by a subscriber who lives in the UK. They're zingy orange called Matchmakers. Oh my God, they're good. So, there is no scarcity, right, of reasons why holiday shipments, okay, may not arrive on time. There's disruptions due to Rona, congested ports, semiconductor shortages, stretched trucking capacity, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Water, or rather the lack of it in China, I swear, okay, may be the factor that pushes U.S. supply chains over the edge. Did you ever think that you would hear something like that? Me either. So water is an unseen, vital input for all economic activity. There's not enough coffee in the world that's going to make me get through this, but I'll go on. So beyond agriculture, water is critical for power generation, mining, industry, and the consumer products we rely on every single day. Okay, like the estimated 3,000 gallons of water that it takes to make the typical smartphone. Yeah, I had no clue either. So, as it turns out, China is drastically short of the water it needs to maintain its economy. China's per capita water availability is 1/4 of the global average, and nearly 700 million of its civilians live in regions considered highly water stressed. Meanwhile, groundwater depletion has been so significant in the areas around Beijing that parts of the city are falling into the earth by more than 14 centimeters a year. China's water shortages are showing up most acutely in electrical power generation, where the nation's hydroelectric and coal power producers are struggling with irregular water access. Authorities have responded to the widespread power outages by clamping down on industrial energy consumption, resulting in major disruptions to China's manufacturers. And that's where America's supply chain comes in. The U.S. imports massive quantities of manufactured goods from China, including 70% of Walmart's store merchandise. And that's why we call Walmart China Mart. And 40% of the clothing sold domestically. China is also a huge producer of key industrial products that end up on America's shores, like steel, aluminum, and polysilicon used to make solar panels. And that's the one thing that us people of the prepared mind want, is to go completely off-grid, have solar, so we don't have to rely on electricity. So the long-term outlook for water availability in China is alarming and has resulted in drastic measures by its government. And these include a massive project to transfer water from South China to North China, shifting manufacturing away from water-stressed regions, and even wide-scale atmospheric interventions referred to as cloud seeding, We've heard of this. We've talked about this, right on? To boost rainfall. Given the scale of the problem, these amount to band-aid solutions to cover a gaping wound. Desalination from the ocean is not a viable option, as it is a high energy intensive process, and half or more of the water produced from desalination can be lost to power consumption. In addition, given the current strains on China's power grid, it is unlikely that enough spare capacity can be found to desalinate and transport large quantities of water to China's dry regions. So here's my question. We all know that the U.S. just gave China how many millions of gallons, barrels, really, of our crude oil? Are we going to start sending them water now too? Because, it's always USA to the rescue. Just putting that out there. So none of this comes as a surprise to Chinese officials. In 2005, former Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao, and that's Jiabao, remarked that water shortages threaten the very survival of the Chinese nation, while planning officials in Beijing have tried for decades to cap the city's population below 10 million due to limited water resources. Beijing's current population right now is 21 million. So the difficulty is that resolving the water supply problem involves painful economic trade-offs between agriculture, industry, and households that are politically challenging, even in a nation governed by a single party. And China's water shortages are also a major issue for energy markets and seriously complicate efforts to decarbonize the global economy. Electricity generated from natural gas consumes half as much water and coal-fired generation, and China's insatiable demand for imported natural gas is pushing up energy prices in the U.S. and abroad. Well, we know why, but I'm not going to go into that. So in addition, numerous Chinese officials have stressed that wind and solar energy is not reliable enough to allow for the wholesale transmission away from China's heavy reliance on coal power. When examined through the lens of its current water and power problems, it's easy to understand why China's presence at the COP26, the recent UN climate summit, was half-hearted at best. Now, all of this is to say that the U.S. economy is at significant risk until a long-term solution is found for China's water problems. That's why I said USA to the rescue, right? So it just seems that way. Every time another country is in trouble or in peril or whatever, we always, for some reason, have to go. And I understand, but come on, let's take care of us first. You know what I mean? So, recent discussions regarding the shift of U.S. supply chains away from China have focused on national security and domestic policy considerations. And given the severe, really, angel face? Given the severe challenges posed by China's lack of water, it may be a question of economic necessity. So on to the next thing. This has to do with supermarkets now, okay? If you've gone shopping, like we all have, okay, for groceries now, at any point in the last couple of months, I know a lot of us, we'll live off of our preps for 3-4 months, and then we'll go and we'll stock up. Okay. But you've probably encountered this nettlesome trend to one degree or another. And shortages have some products which the store used to have in abundance, which has caused no small amount of consternation for the potato administration. The root cause includes a protracted supply chain meltdown this year. Something that caused at least one potato official to warn that, no, the government cannot say with certainty that your Christmas presents will arrive on time this year. You know, if Harris didn't push, buy Christmas presents, buy Christmas presents, buy Christmas presents, she should have been pushing the American people to buy food. I'm sorry, but I understand, you know, a lot of us have kids, grandkids, nieces and nephews, all right? But for those of us that can only afford to do one or the other, I'm sure our kids, our grandkids, and our nieces and nephews would rather have food on the table than presents under the tree. Because I don't know any kid who is that greedy or that selfish that would rather have a grumbling belly than a Christmas present to open. Because hunger pains don't go away. But the need for the hottest toy does. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, hopefully, you got the bulk of your holiday shopping done during Black Friday. Well, a lot of us, I know, didn't go out Black Friday shopping, unless some of us were working that day. Cyber Monday this year, yeah, I did do some Cyber Monday. But then again, I do a lot of my shopping online anyways. I can't promise that every person will get every gift they want on time. And that's what Potato said. Well, you know what, Potato? We don't all have the resources that you do. I'm not even going to say what I want to say. Because the next thing I know, I'll have the Secret Service at my damn door. And then the next thing that he said was, only Santa Claus can keep that promise. Really? Only Santa Claus can keep that promise? Hey, Potato, you still believe in Santa Claus? What about the Easter Bunny? How about the Tooth Fairy? Anybody else you still believe in? Because guess what? None of us believe in you. Matter of fact, I'd rather believe in Santa than believe in you. But I'll go on. So there are items every year that sell out that are hard to find. Some of you moms and dads can remember Cabbage Patch or Beanie Babies. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, Cabbage Patch was, you know, that was the hot thing on the market. And then I remember when Andrew was little, what the hell was it? Those talking fur baby looking things. What the hell were those things called? I can't even remember. Those things are awful. I swear those things were possessed. But anyway, Santa Claus isn't, however, delivering to grocery stores, you know, to replenish the shelves among the product shortages they're facing, according to news reports. And grocery stores are feeling a pinch in their supplies of both maple syrup as well as fresh produce. And even the fresh produce that you are getting these days, it's going rotten within days anyways. So let's start with the second. In November, Organizations in the North American produce industry issued a statement blaming part of the problem on crippling port congestion. And the statement reads in part, on behalf of North America's fresh produce industry, we are calling for urgent government action to address significant ongoing supply chain disruptions with impacts to our food systems, economies, and ultimately individuals and families across the continent and around the globe. Yeah. Almost 2 years since the start of the pandemic, substantial increases in cost and delays along the supply chain threaten our food security and the long-term economic viability of the North American fresh produce sector. For a variety of reasons, meanwhile, Canada, which produces almost 80% of the global maple syrup supply, is having to tap its own emergency supply of the commodity. That's not pandemic or supply chain related. It is largely to do with atypical weather this year. However, vendors in the U.S. reportedly aren't having an easy time getting the amount they need from Canada, precisely because of, you guessed it, supply chain related delays in shipping. Although along these same lines, there have also been reports that ongoing shortages and supply chain issues will impact the production of the iPhone 13 into early 2022. So if any of you guys are waiting patiently for the new iPhone 13, you must wait in haste. So the larger point here, this issue is extremely far-reaching and widespread right now. Okay? And anyone who claims otherwise is just trying to score a political point. As an indication of how serious this issue is, the FTC formally launched an inquiry into all the myriad supply chain disruptions. Okay, and the commission said it's ordering 9 larger retailers to share their information, and the group includes Amazon and Walmart and Kroger, among other ones too. Okay, and the FTC's announcement went on to note that it's ordered these companies to detail steps they're taking to alleviate disruptions and how they allocate productions among their stores when they are in short supply. So, yeah. So you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And please keep laughing. And as always, fear less. Ciao.